Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. I'm Jesse. This is Cadillac Rod and Customs. A few weeks ago, I was out here trying to figure out why this thing's running like hammered shit. You know, car show season is just around the corner. Cruise season is just right around the corner. And as it stands right now, I don't even want to drive this thing. So I come out here and start right now. So it's running like shit. It is so rich. It's just fat and nasty. You know what I mean? It's dumping. It's changing the color of the snow. It's like hazing when it's idling. It smells like it's just basically dumping fuel. I thought maybe the timing was off. Plus, this engine has about shit. I don't know, since the rebuild, probably 15 miles on it, maybe. You know, cruised it around town a couple of times. I went to one show. We cruised it a few more times, and then it got parked. I just come out, once a week or so and started it. So there's no reason, but it fouled plugs. All 8 of them were, goddamn, they were shack black, like Bernie Mac black already. So something seriously is unhealthy. So I come out and, warmed it up, put a timing light to it, and it was a little off, but it wasn't off far enough to justify the level that the plugs were fouled. So I thought maybe the carburetor needed to be adjusted, because when I first put this carburetor together, I didn't really know, like I had the basics of how to adjust a carburetor, but I didn't know how to fine tune one. So I knew the carburetor was out of adjustment, and I got a vacuum gauge and I started, messing with the idle mixture screws. It didn't change a single inch on the vacuum gauge, either one of them. I could thread them all the way in, I could thread them all the way back out. I could basically just pull it clear out, and it doesn't do a damn thing. So I know I could possibly have a vacuum leak too, which I'm going to check that today or tomorrow. But this morning, which is when this whole thing should have started, but right now it's 2:30 in the afternoon, so this is not going to be done today. But we're definitely going to get a good start on this today. I went down and bought me one of these fuel toilet rebuild kits. So now I have to go dig out my carburetor cleaner, those coffee can carburetor cleaner kits with the little baskets and all that shit. I got a couple of those. So I got to go dig those out and pull this flusher off and see if we can't get this thing properly rebuilt and cleaned and put back on. Because, as it sits right now, this thing won't even start. It'll just sit out here and crank until the battery dies. So, man, I really thought I was recording all kinds of cool shit. Anyway, so I got the clip off of the choke linkage, which was right here in this one little side. Got the clip off of the throttle linkage on the accelerator pump. Took a 1/4 inch nut driver and backed these bolts out, because in these holes right here is your springs and your metering rods. Now be very careful with these metering rods, because if you blunt one of these ends, it's not going to go inside your jet and do its job. If it's blunted, it's not going to seal. It's going to give you all kinds of weird, stupid problems. I've taken the top off of Edelbrocks before with the metering rods in, and if you're careful when you put it back in and you go like directly straight down, it doesn't make a difference. But it's just better, smarter, pull the rods out. It's 2 screws. It's easier to pull the rods out before you pull the top off, just to prevent stupidity. Now, I'm going to pull these 8 screws here, and it's going to be prom night out here, because I'm about to pull the top off of this lady. I love you. You're beautiful. Take your top off. And there she is. Floats are decent. They have been adjusted recently, but I'll probably come through and readjust them just to, you know, for entertainment reasons for the video. This is your accelerator pump, which this one seems to be good. A little stiff, but they're supposed to be a little stiff. Let me get a Torx bit. We'll get these things out. Pull the butterfly out. I'll grab some needle nose for these. Then down in here, I'll get a light and pull the jets. Now, all I have is these Torx bits. I thought I had a T-handle Torx set, but apparently that's what I get for thinking. Okay, the best piece of advice I can give you, if you plan on using a kit like this, is make sure you are in a ventilated area. If you are not in a well-ventilated area, you're going to go to outer space because this stuff is strong. Oh my God. That's the basket that it comes with. These just pop right up out of there. Toss your screws in. There's a gasket here, but it's stuck on the body of the carburetor. So usually what I do, see, here's the gasket. Usually what I do is I'll take all the expendables, like the squirters and the jets and all that stuff, and I'll put them in one, and then I'll put the body of the carburetor in the second one because I do have two of these kits. That little squirter is kind of a pain to get out of there. Ew, I can feel the varnish and the gel, and you can see how this discoloration right here, it's all like a varnish, like a really thick gel. That's what fuel does when it just sits. Which again, my own dumbass fault for not using the truck more often, but you know, I've become spoiled, and I like creature comforts. I like driving something with air conditioning and power windows and all that stupid shit. I got bougie with my old age accelerator pump spring. Your floats, they come out super easy. These pins, you can just walk them to one side just a little bit, grab a hold of them, and then they pull right out. If they're stuck, then there's probably the really good reason that you're inside this carburetor in the first place. Because they should not be stuck. They should be easily removable. Now you can pull this gasket, send it to timeout. You just don't want to do that with it being tightened down. And that filter looks like shit. See how bent that thing is? Son of a bitch. I wonder if both of them was like that. Let's see. That that screen is inside that hole right there. We're gonna have to go fishing. I think that might be the problem why this damn thing didn't start. That screen had me plugged on. We've made it this far. Take this whole cover here, set it aside. While I was outside dumping the fuel out, I've done some looking. Get a light here. Down inside these bowls. Cannot believe how bad the varnish in here is, man. See how bad it is in here? And again, this carburetor was cleaned not long ago. It's ridiculous, man. I mean, look at all this shit in here. Which I know in here, you know, the fuel's just whatever, but look. Look inside there. Shit looks like somebody brewed coffee and left the pot on for too long, man. That's not supposed to look like that. But hey, that's why we're here, folks. To get this shit cleaned up, get this carburetor working like it's supposed to again. So again, these two are 95, these two are 92s. That's the jet pattern that I run. I think this is disassembled as far as I'm going to take it. Because I'm just going to, like I said, drop it in the cleaner and let it sit for a while. So while this is soaking, I'm going to take some time to reevaluate my life choices and figure out what made me think this was a good idea today. And I said I was just going to soak this in there, but I had a bunch more parts that I forgot I had taken out of the carburetor that I had to soak in here. So instead of the carburetor going in there, I'm just going to use my little detailing brush, soak it in there, put it inside all this stuff, and just let it sit and soak. Think that'll work. Now, cleaning all this shit with a fine tooth like this, 100% unnecessary, but it makes me feel better. My OCD enjoys it. And in these bad areas where it's like huddled up, just let her sit there, bud. It ain't gonna hurt a damn thing to sit in this cleaner. The rest of it, you know, as I said, just paint you some happy little trees. That's what I feel like. Use one of these detail brushes, like a Bob Ross. We're just dabbing it in there. Some taparoos. Now, that comes apart. You might want to wear some glasses because brake part cleaner hurts like shit if it ends up in your ojos. So, it doesn't take much to clean this shit off. Just a little bit. My mom used to say when I was a kid, just dabble, do you? Just a dabble, definitely do you when it comes to deals like this. Because again, this is not a very well ventilated garage. I'm not careful. I'm going to join SpaceX here for about 47 seconds. So, don't do what I just did. Unless, unless you want to go to outer space for a few minutes. In that case, follow me for more advice, I guess. That was a complete sidetrack project. We were supposed to be working on this at the top. I mean, top needed to be done anyway, so I'm glad we got her done. Make sure you get that crossover channel in there real good. You didn't hear where all your squirters were sitting. All that stuff. Which is pretty potent. I'm telling you guys. Combination of the smell of this and the intoxicating aroma of brake parts cleaner. Again, I'm going to put a little bit more down here where that varnish was mad thick. Let it soak in there a little bit. The bowls came pretty clean. I'm not really too worried about them. Get it down in here, down around the base. Real good. And we're going to take a break because I need some fresh air and some fresh gloves, clearly. And some fresh air. Gather my thoughts back up. It was a fun trip to space, though. And in here with the accelerator pump, there were a few little fire starters in here. You like that? Foaming and stuff down in there. Some brake part cleaner. And just, you know what? I'm going to do this outside. Yeah. We're going to definitely do this stuff outside. And then we got to go fishing because inside here, I can see more chunks of brass, I'm assuming. Down inside that. Well, you're not going to be able to see it. Anyway, just take my word for it. Down inside here, there's some more brass I'm going to have to go fishing for. So, I'm going to take this outside, brake parts, clean it, and then we'll come back. Okay, we're back. Everything is cleaned. Ready to go back together. Goes in here like that. And they just, are weighted flappers. So these go in like so. They're directional. At least I think they are. I've been told a couple of old timers that they are directional, and you want the direction to be this piece here to sit just over your jet. And please, if I'm wrong on that, correct me. But as far as I have been told, you want that thing to just cover your jet there, so you have to pull your baffles out to change your jets. That's how it was explained to me. It's obviously not the reasoning for it, but again, that's the way it was explained to me. So this is where we're going to start, right here. Little guy goes in there. And you'll know these are the two shorter screws and the two smaller head screws. Like it's a different size Torx for these screws. And these, you don't have to torque them to Jesus. Just tight, you know, not super duper. Just, I don't know if you feel comfortable that they're not going to back themselves out. I like to put the screws in to hold the gasket in place. Then drop the squirter in. Back, hit it again for Justin. Screw your home. You too good for your home? There's just something in there stopping you from going in there. Is that what it is? You see that chunk of shit that just come flying out of there? Thought I had it all out. Apparently I did not. Now, it should, in theory, just like that. The gasket on this one's got to be flipped. So on the other side, this big tit right here, come off the other side. Make sure you flip it because obviously this side, you know. I feel like a lot of this stuff is kind of self-explanatory. But I'm going to explain it anyway. And you see how much nicer that one just popped right down into place? I wonder what the hell. I wonder if something's wrong with my chamber on that other side. Maybe that's why it's, you know, left up. Okay. Now, this one is done. Nope. Air idle mixture screws. Also be careful with those. Make sure you don't blunt the tip of those as well. If you blunt the tip of one of those, it doesn't tighten all the way down, and then you can't get the correct mixture. And when you run these in, you don't want them uber tight. Like you'll feel it when it makes contact. Stop there. Okay. Bottomed out. Now the whole bottom end is done and ready to accept the top. Make sure you put your gasket in place before you start any of this stuff. Slide it through here. I am 100% certain that there are way better tutorials on how to do this on YouTube. But for whatever dumb reason, you've chosen to come and watch mine, and I appreciate you. Now these are delicate. You take your screen here. Make sure you open it up so it's round, because they come kind of smashed. Just push it in place. Phony bastards. Now that that's in place, take your little crush washer, screw it down on there, just like so. Then drop that bad boy up in there. Oh, come on, man. There we go. Okay. Drop it in place. Grab a regular screwdriver. Come on, man. You're embarrassing me in front of my friends. What are you doing? Now, we're ready to put the floats back in. These pins just push right into place. They don't take any pressure or any weird tricks or nothing. Maybe that was a lie. Maybe they take some kind of voodoo magic. Push back into place. Just have to not be outsmarted by a small chunk of metal. And then they just sit in the center. They basically hold themselves in place. All right. I'm not really sure what happened to the audio here. I think the battery in my microphone died, but basically what I'm showing you is you take a 7/16 drill bit and you start to walk it with your gasket in place underneath that float, and you want your drill bit to make contact with that float as it's about halfway underneath. Now, as far as the hang goes, you take that paper tape measure that comes with it, and you want the corner right on the top of that float where it starts to make the turn to be 15/16 of an inch away from the bottom of your gasket on both sides. Okay, here I'm attempting to put the top of the carburetor back on, and then I realized that those two, the primary squirters, are actually in backwards, and I feel like an idiot. I should have deleted this entire clip, but, you know, I wanted to leave it in because shit happens, and, you know, makes for a good video. So, yeah, I'm pulling the squirters out, flipping them back around. I ripped a base gasket on that one right there, put it all back together, and then we get the top finally set back down into place, and I think I have the audio for the next clip. So that was a lie. Just when I think I'm getting good and I've got nicest stuff, and the battery in my microphone does not last as long as I anticipated it to. So here I'm explaining that I tighten my screws in a cross pattern. I don't go in a circle. Let's see, we're putting the clips back in place. I'm using a screwdriver to hold the linkage out so the clip goes in easier. All the screws are tightened. The metering rods are going in. I use the orange springs with a 7547 metering rod. It's going back in. I'm explaining some stupid things about making sure that, you know, it presses up and down once you get it installed instead of just going to the top and stopping. All right, guys. That's going to do it on how to rebuild an Edelbrock carburetor. Mine's a 1406, which is a 600 CFM, but Edelbrock quadrajets are really similar. Carter, if you have an old school Carter AFB or whatever, they're the exact same thing. Old Webers, whatever. I was gonna get you a video of it busting off today, but I got a dead battery, so it's not gonna bust off today. But there will be a tuning carburetor video coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for coming to hang out again. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Thanks for hanging out, and remember, guys, if you're not willing to go outside and do the work, your projects are never going to get finished.